Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Amigos, the podcast about everything Amiga. Amigos is a proud member of the Throwback Network, your home for quality retro podcasts. And now, here are your hosts, Aaron Dowdy and John Bodovkar Schaller.
What was that?
It's my breath.
My God! So, I was trying to look over and you'd be going this. What's happening? No more of that water for you.
It's making me do weird things.
No kidding.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about the Settlers.
Ooh.
Yeah. But before we get into the Settlers, Aaron, you have a couple news items to get to, right?
Yeah, we'll just kick it off this week with a couple little tidbits. And these are sort of local interest, but we've got some people in here that might go to this, so you never know. So I've been neglecting mentioning that our local favorite con, or one of the two favorites we've got, is coming up in just a matter of weeks, and that's Korg's Con. You remember Korg's,
I
bro?
remember Korg's.
Columbia. It's from
Columbia Broadcasting System.
We're all flying down to Columbia. No, it's the Columbus Retro Gaming Group's yearly con. I usually catch this thing every year. This year it is June 2nd. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the McCoy Center in Hilliard, Ohio. It looks like it's going to be a good time. The usual suspects. Every year I tell myself I'm not coming back to this, but inevitably I go back because I can't help myself. And this year I've gotten into the vintage computer world a little more than I've been in the past. And so last year I saw some old Ataris, and I believe I saw a couple Japanese exclusive systems there. Like I think a fellow had a Sharp 68,000 or one of those systems. So if I could get that stuff for sale, and I'll tell you, a couple years ago, I'm kicking myself because some guy was selling the crap out of Famicoms. And I was like, man, Famicom, who'd want to buy one of those? And now I sort of kind of want one.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to have a Famicom. Just imagine if you see an SG-1000 up there. Or a grandstand.
I would buy an SG-1000 like that. Although we can play all the SG-1000 stuff. I don't know how the Genesis, I guess it uses the same hardware as the SG, but I'm not sure about that. Because the Master System is sort of in the Genesis, but I don't know about that. Is the Master System made up of the SG-1000 to a certain degree?
I don't think so, because I don't think they ever released a converter or anything to play SG-1000 games on the Master System.
I think they will. I think it will play them, though. I think. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure about that. One thing's for sure, there won't be any Amiga stuff at Korg's unless we bring it. I've been there now for several years, and I don't think I'm trying to think if I've ever seen anything for the Amiga. It's such a rare item in the States that it's not something that pops up that much. But I almost guarantee you, I'll vow right here, if I see any Amiga stuff that show, I will buy it, no matter what it is. So with my luck, it'll be the stupidest. What's the stupidest thing you can buy for the Amiga? It'll be a copy of Top Banana.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Man, we display that with pride.
We could burn that once we get hold of it. Or first-person pinball. Which one's worse?
Oh, Top Banana.
No, I think first-person pinball's worse because Top Banana. There's a game.
Top Banana is a front to God, man.
Well, Top Banana is more annoying.
Yes.
But I mean, because it continually makes that horrible noise.
Right. And the game continuously destroys your eyeballs.
And I will say, first-person pinball did try to be innovative.
Right. There are.
That's tough. That's a tough call.
There are interesting things about first-person pinball. The game's not good, but it's no Top Banana.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Top Banana there is a game there that you could play. First-person pinball, there is no game I don't think you could play anything there. So anyway, Korg's. If you're in the area and you think you might want to go, drop me a line and maybe we could hook up or go together. I don't think. Are you planning on going to Korg's?
What's the date of Korg's?
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
It's a Saturday, June 2nd. I'm going to go down, man.
Maybe so. I might be into it.
And mess around and see what I can find. So it should be a good time. So if you're into it, drop me a line.
Another upcoming event coming up soon is let's see, it's Nightbot has banned this guy for some unknown reason, so I've got to
Chat check.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, during the show, you're also the chat administrator,
right.
master.
Andy Davis has delivered some news. Vintage Computer Festival East is coming up next weekend, which actually by the time this airs, it will already be over.
Oh, bummer.
So, but
how was it?
it was great. It was at the InfoAge Science Center over in Wall, New Jersey. So hopefully,
Man, I've heard a lot of good things about that show too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Man,
Hopefully,
I've heard good
Will
things.
Williams and some of the guys in the upper New Englandish, New Delhi area of America, somewhere far away from West Virginia. Hopefully, those guys got up there and saw the goodness. I saw some great pictures from Vintage Computing Festival Southeast down in Georgia.
Yeah.
That looked like a really good time. So that's a really good network of shows here in the States.
You know, so a little tidbit. I saw this right before I came over. I thought it was neat. Do you remember the episode of the Guru Meditation where they spoke to that lady that was the artist? I think her name was Salmia. I can't remember.
Salome.
I can't remember. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It's really
yeah.
good. They actually went out. There's a picture, and they went out and bought that woman an Amiga 1200.
Wow.
They actually.
That's
There's a
awesome.
picture of them presenting her with the Amiga 1200. I thought that was awful sweet of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know where they got it or if they had it in their collection, but now that lady, she could finally she finally gets the computer of her dreams to do her art on. So I thought that was a nice little bit of news I saw before I came over. What else you got, Boat?
Well, the big news.
The big news?
The big news is that Amigathon is back. Amigathon 2018. I have created the page. This page is going to be slightly under construction. You can see that I've selected the wrong window here. It's just one of my mini tricks with OBS. So as I save this and we go to here, we can see if you go to extralife.org/participant/Amigathon. We have no easy URLs on this show.
Lots of slashes.
Amigathon 2018 is live. You can go here and donate. For every $1 you donate, we will play 1 minute of your favorite Amiga title. We're going to start at 6:30 in the morning here, which would allow our European listeners to complete the marathon with us at a not so unreasonable time as last year.
What time would that be in, say, the UK?
So they're 5 hours ahead of us, so about 11:30.
So that's not bad.
Yeah. Sorry, and so you'll be able to spend the whole day with us. Watch us play all the Amiga games, and there's going to be some fun stretch goals we're going to have. You can vote for which one of us gets a pie in the face at the end, there's some more surprises to be unveiled too. But go ahead and get those donations in early because the time slots are going to fill up quick. Once all time slots are filled, we're going to keep on playing. So as long as the money keeps coming in, we'll keep playing. We want to raise. Our goal is raise $1,000 this year for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And I know we can do it because we've got the best community around. The Amiga community is number one.
Yeah, it'll help those poor sick kids out. It's definitely a good outfit to go with. We did pretty good last year. I think we got somewhere near in the ballpark of that. And so hopefully this year we can exceed that in some way. It'll be interesting to get up at 6:30 in the morning and
we'll be getting up before then. We're kicking off at 6:30.
Well, trust me, I'll be getting up at 6:27 and then staggering over here, and I may have to be driven. It'll be so early, but it'll be interesting to play. I don't think I've ever played any computer games that early in the morning.
Not unless you were still up from the night before.
Yeah. The only time I can imagine would be playing something that went all night. But it'll be fun. Hey, it's good. It's for charity.
Have you ever went on one of your big City of Heroes binges? Do you recall the sun coming up as you continued to play, streaming through the window of Mud Mountain?
And EverQuest was another one. And when I was much younger and lived at home, I don't think I ever stayed up that late to play. But I would be up for BBSing. I would be up that early because I'd have something cooking.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So there's that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time. So, and I want to campaign early. For God's sakes, I'm begging you people. I'm begging you. Pay to have him hit with a pie.
Yeah.
It hurt so bad, and I want him to. He laughed. Oh, he mocked. I'm begging this guy to have Chad come over and muscle that pie into your face and see what you think about it.
And it's the same as last year. We'll keep a running tally of the totals, and it'll just be straight dollars. You know, in your donation, put the game that you want played and put who you want hit with the pie.
Oh, God. Man, I can't believe you're bringing that back. Just to spite me, too.
It was the biggest hit of Amigathon.
Oh, it was a big hit, all right. Good God, I got meringue in my ear from last year. I'm still trying to get out of there. Good God. Well, Bo, we didn't have a ton of news this week, so we're going to delve into one of our favorite activities, Guess the Price game.
Ooh.
And I've picked up, here it is. We've got, this was donated way back. This is the AC's Guide to Amiga. It's tons of prices and crazy stuff. I love this book. I look through it all the time.
These types of catalogs have gone by the wayside in the age of online, and it's a shame.
And so I want to get you a couple shots of hardware, but I've looked up some game prices too. I want to get your thoughts on.
Okay, now this is a U.S. based catalog.
This is a U.S.
dollar
based
prices,
and we should probably give the year of this thing here. This was fall. Now this is perfect, by the way. This is fall winter of 90 to 91. So everything is still in play, right? And this was an expensive item, by the way, 10 buckaroos for this thing. So this was not a cheap get back in the day. And this was donated to us. And I honestly, do you remember who it was that donated? I can't remember off the top of my head. Whoever it was, we appreciate it because we've gotten a lot of magazines. I know Ravi, this would have been from someone in the U.S.
Either maybe Tapes from the Crypt, or maybe, I'm trying to think, or maybe Will Williams, or maybe even John Marshall.
Yeah, it's one of our U.S. listeners, and we appreciate it. And heck, if it was you, drop us a line so we can give you full credit. So, but we're going to start off easy here, just as easy as pie.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to delve into the realm of memory expansion. Okay, memory expansion. Okay, now I'm looking right here as I blindly stare into it because I know I'm just getting ready for the mockery, so I'm going to preempt it. Okay, I'm looking here at a 2 meg memory expansion for the Amiga 500. All right, easy as pie, and it also has a hard drive interface on it. This is 91. Give me your best guess on what it costs. 2 megs. That's an expansive amount of memory right there.
And a hard drive expansion. Is that like a SCSI?
That's a SCSI, correct?
Yeah. I'm going to guess $149.99.
Okay, wrong. So very wrong. In 1991, you would be paying $270.
Oh wow, way off.
$270.
Twice the price, I thought.
Well, you know,
memory was expensive back in the day.
It absolutely was. Now, let's go into more of a weird accessories here. Let me find something really good. So here is now this is something that was a popular item. The Amy Sound. It's a 3-in-1 peripheral box that gives you a monitor stand, a power center, and a stereo amp. Right? This is just one of those. This is generic as pie. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It's just
You're really into this pie thing.
That's right, because I like pie. Right? So
like pies in the face.
Now, so this is, this is generic. It's not even a plug-in. It's a thing that you set your monitor on. That gives you speakers, right?
Does it come with the speakers,
supply.
or is it just an amp?
Comes with the speakers. It's simple stuff. How much do you think for this?
I'm guessing that is probably going to be $200.
Wrong. It's $100.
Oh my gosh!
$100. It's just a set of speakers and a stand.
But with an amp and everything,
Listen, how much? Do you ever go to Radio Shack and get those speakers? Come on, man.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
You kidding me? Okay, now we're going to get some games in here. So I looked through these games, and these games, the prices are kind of wacky, man. Okay, so here, we're going to go a couple you haven't heard of and a couple you have. I just want to get, because believe it or not, these game prices sort of vary wildly. Okay, so Shadow of the Beast. Okay, this is 91. You get the, and the pitch for this is great. 13 levels, high-speed parallax scrolling, 350 screens, Bode.
That's when they used to measure screens as like a statistic.
A 900K soundtrack.
Wow.
How about that?
That's a lot of Ks.
And 132 different monsters to delight you.
Delight is stretching it.
Includes original design T-shirt by Roger Dean. Okay, so what would you pay for this in the U.S.?
$49.99.
You got it almost to the penny. $49.95.
The games are what I know. I don't know about speaker stands. I don't know about
That's
memory.
pretty good, Bo. I have to give you credit on that. So let's try another one of those since you nailed that one. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by that one. I'll give you credit on that one. So let's try another one of your favorites here. Let me see what we got here. Let's go with The Bard's Tale.
Okay.
All right. The Bard's Tale. Okay. And you know The Bard's Tale. You got sound effects, music, 85 spells.
85, huh?
So this is 91. All right. What's the Bard's Tale going for these days? Now, I want to preface this that they've got the Bard's Tale 2 here too.
Right.
So, and we'll go for that one next.
Okay.
So this would have been probably a year or two old at this point.
This is a vintage release. I'm going to say $30, $29.99.
No. 1995.
Okay.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So just while we're here, Bard's Tale 2. Where do you place that one?
I'd say that one is probably $29.
$60.
Whoa!
$60 to
Holy
get.
cow! That's crazy. How many discs is that?
I don't know, man, but it's $60 bills, man. It's
Bard's Tale's
it's a
big in
few
its own
bucks.
grave right there.
Let's do one more. I think we got time.
That's like $8,000 in today's money.
It's not 8,000. I don't know how much it would be today's money, but it wouldn't be that much. Let me find a real winner here, Bo.
This diet tonic water is so nasty.
Tell those people what you're drinking.
I got this. They didn't have seltzer water at Walmart, and so I was like, well, tonic water. You know, I like a good gin and tonic. I'll just drink some tonic water instead of seltzer water. This stuff, and part of it is that it's diet tonic water, so it's got that weird aftertaste with the whatever they use to make it sweet. But man, it's the worst. And I've drank This is a whole liter.
How many calories are in regular water?
Well, regular tonic water is full of sugar, so it's like the same as Sprite or something like that. But diet tonic water, it's calorie free, but it's nasty. Oh God, it's bad.
Okay, I got one more here for you.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is an accelerator. All right. This is the add speed supercharge your Amiga with this 14.3 megahertz CPU accelerator. All right.
Okay.
Double. By using a 68,000 and ICD's unique sync switch allows changing speeds on the fly without rebooting the computer. I had one of these, by the way. It's similar. Easy installation involves unplugging the CPU and plugging in add speed into the socket. Works on all Amiga 68,000 base computers. So what this means is it's the old gimmick where you pull out your 68,000, you'd stick this thing in the socket, you'd stick your processor on top. Mm-hmm. 1991 prices. Again, this doubles the speed of the 68,000 to 14.3 megahertz. What do you think this is going to run?
I'm going to guess $299.
$299, not bad, not close. The actual retail price $349.
Yeah. So
now,
so
here's the problem with these things. Since it came up, a lot of games didn't like them, and so it would screw things up.
So your workbench would run super fast, but then when you try to load
some of the games would work, but and also a lot of times it didn't make a difference. That's the Amiga acceleration is a weird business. It really is. But I don't know what it was, but I had mine turned off more than I had it turned on.
Did a lot of Amiga games do the early PC thing where they base their speed off the clock speed of the CPU?
I was thinking about that when I was reading that. I don't remember ever seeing it go, because the PC would be crazy fast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that happening on the Amiga. I don't. So I'm guessing that's not how it worked. I think a lot of the reasons that some stuff would work with them and some stuff wouldn't is just because there was a lot of programming tricks, or it could be copy protection stuff. Like I said, the Amiga was not friendly to wacky peripherals. I mean, no matter how good they were, there was no peripheral you could ever leave in. Even when I had the Amiga 1000, and I just had a simple 2 meg card on the side, sort of like the one you tried to price earlier. All it did was just memory. It just stuck in the side port. That's all it did. I had to take it out all the time. I even had one. I got one that had a switch on it that would turn it off, and even sometimes I'd still have to unplug it.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know why, but whatever it was, it would sense that it was like, we're not buying it. We're not going to use it.
Anything that's third party. The designers of the Amiga had no idea that people were going to be building these things, and I'm sure that it was weird.
I should mention before we get into the game this week that I don't know what it was I read, but I had this uncontrollable urge to buy an Amiga 1000. I was dying to have one. And there's one up for sale.
Local?
No, it was on eBay. And it was a best offer situation. Untested, the whole 9 yards. And I actually made a couple offers on this thing. And I'm kicking myself now. I didn't win it, but I almost did.
What did it end up selling for?
It's still available.
Oh, okay.
So there's still, the temptation is still there. I think it's when you were talking about the aesthetic of the Amiga 1000 last week. It got me. I was listening to one of our old shows that we were talking about, and I was like, man, I do miss that. It has a great look to it. Mm-hmm. The area where you could slide your keyboard under it. It's a gorgeous little unit. And I'd watched a video that we talked about last week about this rejuvenator that the fellow over at Amiga Love is trying to get mass produced. I think we mentioned it last week. His video was up. And I think we mentioned, if we're not, we're mentioning it now.
For those that didn't listen, what is the Rejuvenator?
Well, what this thing is, he found this old, rare Amiga 1000 add-on board that gives the Amiga 1000 a bunch of, it basically brings it up to the level of, say, a 500 with some extra memory and some other stuff. It's a nice little addition. And they're apparently a really rare item, and what he's trying to do is get a campaign started to recreate these to sell now. So it'd basically be a piece of classic hardware that would be made with new parts.
Okay.
You know, a complete rerun. Mm-hmm. And he had gone so far as to try to contact the guy that engineered it, I guess, and who he thinks lives up in Columbus. I think.
Maybe you'll see him at Corks.
And he worked just outside of Cincinnati, and so he was looking for people to try to help him contact this guy to get some schematics or specs on it or whatever. But it got me to thinking about how much I like the 1000. And of all the computers I've had, that one was the one. I mean, really, the case it's the most functional. You could sit your monitor on it. In a lot of ways, it's got the smallest footprint. Just because you could put a monitor on it, you know.
That fact cannot be undersold.
And I do like the fact that it was the first Amiga. It's still mostly functional.
Right.
I mean, with today's stuff,
most of the games that I'd want to play can run just fine on it.
And I love the signature stuff. I wish they were kind of on the outside instead of the inside. You can't really pop the cover off, but just a wax on that. But I've almost bought it. I talked myself out of it finally after you turned down my second offer, but it's been on my mind. I don't know why. So. That much said, we should go ahead and get into it, I think,
All right,
Booster.
let's talk about the Settlers.
So, the Settlers. Now, I mentioned this last week. I had played the game Settlers of Catan. I know you've played it as well. I remember, do you like that game?
I do. I've never, it's an interesting fact, I've never once played it in person. I've only played it on the 360.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. I wonder... I guess that board game came after this video game. I don't know when.
Oh yeah, I mean Settlers came out in the 2000s.
I just have to wonder if there was some inspiration.
I don't think so.
This game, I mean, it does. Settlers
I don't mean is kind of a common name.
I don't mean gameplay wise, but I mean you're strategically placing people in certain areas to get the certain materials. There's some similarities to it. It makes me wonder. That's all I'm saying.
Feel free to wonder.
So, The Settlers. This game came out in '93 on 3 discs, and it was published by an outfit called Blue Byte. As far as I could tell, they were the ones that put it together. Blue Byte, I know them because they actually do my favorite tennis game, Great Courts 2, which I'm sure you haven't played.
Is that so? It's good.
It's my favorite Amiga tennis game.
Wow.
I remember it distinctly. I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but I remember there was it on my Amiga 1000. Since we were just talking about it, I didn't have that much memory, and so it would run in black and white. And I remember how annoying that was. And of course, it was in PAL, so I couldn't see anything past the back line on the side close to you so your guy could run past where the screen was.
Oh wow!
You know, so man, same old story. But I knew them from that game. I was always a big fan. Of the game.
So your favorite tennis game on the Amiga was both black and white and unplayable.
No. Listen, you're making it sound horrible. In color, it's good. And in the PAL thing, what are you going to do? One of the things I mentioned is the same guy that did the music on that did the music on this. So I'll give him props for that. Anyway, this game actually shipped in with English and French. You can get a French version of it. It was coded by a guy named Volker Werdich, and he was responsible for another game called Emerald Mine, which I've never played or heard of. And the graphics were done by Christoph Warner and Ingo Frick. They did a game called Ketchum, which I like, and Escape from Tharkin. Again, I've never heard of either one of these. This game ran on the ECS OCS and had a PC conversion. Now get this. Did you read about the PC conversion of this? The name of this is appalling. I couldn't believe the name of this is called Surf City, spelled with an E, : Life is Futile.
Oh my gosh. That's the worst. That's worse than Moonstone, A Hard Day's Night.
No, this is much worse.
Yeah.
Surf City,
oh my gosh.
Life is Futile. That name is horrible. That's a turn off name if you ever heard one. So this was also sent over to a few more ports. Of course, later on in its life, it got an OS X port. It's on iOS. Symbian, all right, weird. This game was the first of a series of games that came in after the original that was quite popular. That went on. I mean, I looked at all. There was like a ton of these things. I mean, they've had like. I think they're up to like 8 or 9 or something. Have you ever played any of these games not on the Amiga?
Well, I think it was Pixels at Dawn was talking about the Settlers 2. No, it wasn't on my stream because he wasn't there. Because I remember he's the one that picked this game. But there was somebody in the stream that was talking about how Settlers 2 on the PC, that was the one that they played mostly, and they said that it was vastly superior in terms of UI.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. So. This game opens up with a cute little video of a knight coming back from God knows what, and it just shows him going through town. It's in the Amiga style of animation. It's
looks
cute.
very cool. Yeah.
I particularly like the blacksmith that's pounding on the gimmick as the knight rides by the window. I think it's cool. He ends up riding into a castle. It's a real cute opening for the game. And the graphics in this, including simulated lens flares and stuff, they really went all out to make this look like an attractive game. So, but when you boil this down, this is sort of a real-time strategy game, but it's not really that like fighting-based real-time strategy. It's more of a materials type game, I guess is the way you would put it. Right out of the gate, the first thing you notice is that it's a very attractive game. They've used a lot of colors. That the ground looks nice. The little buildings are cute. The little people are cool. They go around. They do the little tasks. They look pretty neat. And since you're the master strategist here, why don't you run down the actual gameplay of the Settlers here?
Okay, so the way that this game took me a while to grok. What made it click for me is I just had to think about it like a game like StarCraft or Warcraft played at the most excruciatingly slow glacial pace you can imagine, with very comparatively little focus on combat. Now, that makes it sound like I didn't like it. I actually liked it quite a bit. I liked the slow pace because the thing that I hate about Warcraft and StarCraft is I'll spend all this time building up this thing and then just within 30 seconds I'll be overrun and the game is over. And that's not what this game is. This game, you set up your resource production. You put out your tree cutter, your tree planter. You've got your stone carver, and you start building things. Once you have those raw materials, you can start building things. Whenever you build, you've got your builders. They come out of the castle and they start to construct. And these things are not constructed in 10 seconds or 20 seconds. It takes minutes.
It does.
For these things to be constructed. So of course it's not real time, but it feels a heck of a lot more like real time. And you see the structure being built. You have the wood timbers. They go up first, the frame of the structure, and then it's slowly filled up with stone or whatever. And so it's very rewarding when you finally complete this building. You're like, wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah, after your castle goes up, like at the beginning where you place, I was like, okay, here we go.
Right.
I was like, let's plant some buildings. No.
No.
I was like, man, it's like construction in real time.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Your workers, unlike StarCraft or Warcraft, where your builders will just run across the field to wherever you tell them to build, your guys will only travel along roads. They're very scared to go off the path, and so you have to build a path from your castle to whatever building site you choose. And you can only build from certain points on your road. Now, I think that there's a way later on after the stream. Somebody told me there was a way that you could build roads without having the flags, but the way that I played it is I'd have to plant a flag and then branch my road off that flag point. And so basically the way the game works is you're able, as you build resource production things, you can build new buildings that do different things, and you can build mines where you can get gold to pay the people that live in your village. They're mostly used to pay the military. You actually send a prospector up into the hills to tell you what resource you have, so you make sure you build the right mine there. And the economic system in this game is very deep in terms of the way the order in which you have to produce resources to get other resources. The combat in this game is based off your military buildings. Your military buildings house different degrees of fighters. So there's different forms of knights. There's mounted knights. There's captains. There's your normal run-of-the-mill knight. And what you do is, in order to engage in combat, you have your knight leave his structure. You go over to the next town over. You find their military structure, and you click on it. And the knight will slowly amble over to that military structure and attack whoever is living in it. It's very rock, paper, scissors based combat. If you have a knight of the same class, it's more luck based, but if you're going up against a higher knight, you're going to be screwed. He's going to beat you every time. If you win that battle, several adjacent structures to that military building catch on fire.
Yes.
And your territory expands into that territory, which was where the military building was. So the idea is, to win the game, you have to destroy all of the military buildings of your opponent.
It's fun to watch the little guys run around if they're
they're acting like their house is on fire.
Head back to the cast on their bone.
So that's the game in a nutshell. So playing the game, this game is inscrutable, even with the directions. The directions don't do a good job of explaining. They lay out all the concepts of the game, but they don't do it in a way that makes sense to your modern reader. I suppose if you were playing this game coming at it fresh in the early 90s, and you grew up on cryptic instruction manuals, you probably had an easier time. But the downfall of so many of these games that we're asked to play on Amigos is that there are these games who have concepts in modern games, but without any of the things that make modern games easy to jump into. The biggest fault of this game is that there is no text in the game. You're entirely dependent on the reference card that comes with the game and the instruction book. So you're constantly having to refer, flip back and forth. And again, this is something that was totally normal back in the day, but when you're used to playing modern games, it's very aggravating.
I will say, God bless the person that, I don't remember who it was, that posted this in our Discord.
Yeah.
The little card, because I had no idea what was going on. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think they did this for the purposes of distributed to other countries, right? That's sort of that's something you see when they have stuff that's going to be multilingual.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a big part of it. And you see that with board games all the time, too, whenever
absolutely.
they're shipping something to other countries. And that's why I just have Jamie explain all the board games, too, because I can't figure them out.
We needed Jamie to come down for this one.
Yeah. And so that's basically, the game. Somebody that is an expert at this game could probably go on for hours and hours about the ins and outs of it.
This is a tough game to grasp in the amount of time we had to look at it. I struggled mightily. You're more familiar with the real-time strategy games than I am, and the interface, to me, again, being a new person at this level, was not what I would call intuitive. I had a rough time understanding exactly what. I mean, I could place buildings and that sort of thing, but I had trouble. There were things I just didn't understand, and I had to read the instructions a couple times. It was, I don't know, I didn't grasp it very well.
The biggest hindrance to this game is that they didn't put a huge disclaimer on the front that in a normal game, you've got a 2-button mouse. And so when you left-click on something, it's usually move. When you right-click on something, it's usually an informational button, or it opens up more options.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, the double button.
In this game, that's not the case. You have to hold down the right button and then press the left button to open up that special menu, which is so stupid because the right button doesn't do anything half the time.
I found out about that accidentally. As I sat there, I was like, what am I doing? So that's when I was like, it's time to read the docs on this.
Yeah.
This isn't a pick-up and play game. You have to sit down and study.
And so, again, this is probably something that they fixed in Settlers 2, and but I mean, it's just it was infuriating to me that I was having so much trouble just because I didn't get that one concept of the double
Of
click.
course, once you get it, at least
Things become a lot clearer. I really like the way that the settlers are, the way that they look. They're very well animated for being such little sprites. They've got a lot of personality.
You feel bad when your stuff gets blown up or,
Right.
or fire, it's on fire, and those guys come staggering out.
Yeah.
In fact, you're like, oh man.
Yeah, and I
They
like.
worked, and the thing is, they worked forever to build that thing.
Right.
It's like crap.
And I like the way, when they're carrying timber out to the site, you see them hauling it on there, just like you got your own little workforce out there. It's cool. When they drop off money to pay the knights, they actually walk up to to a certain point to the flag and drop the money off, and it's picked up by somebody else. So all that stuff is really cool. I think that this game was definitely ahead of its time in terms of the scope of the game. It probably, set the stage for so many things to follow. I think the original Warcraft probably came out maybe 3 or 4 years after this. And I know that they borrowed things from it because it's just so groundbreaking.
It's incredibly. It seems incredibly deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's scarily. There's a scary amount of stuff to do. I mean, just the mining aspect of it. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Then you've got to. There's a lot of economics, I guess, to it. Again, beyond my ability to understand.
And everything is displayed in graph form, which instead of numbers, and that added another layer of complexity because I just have a hard time reading graphs. I was never good at that in school. And so I couldn't understand the different color-coded lines and things. And I'm sure, again, the documentation spells it all out. But unless you really pore over that thing, I liken this back in the day when I would get, you go to the mall with your parents because I couldn't drive, and you buy a computer game and it comes with this big, thick manual, and you're like, yes, because the rest of the time when you're waiting on your mom at Penny's or whatever, you crack that thing open and you absorb the whole thing in the car on the way home. So by the time you get home, you're ready. Well, with this, with this game, I didn't have that free time to go and really pour through it and memorize all these things.
I printed the manual out. After I struggled for my first night of trying it, I was like, okay, let's go back and print out the manual. I remember we tried to play this one time. We couldn't even get past the copy protection.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was a while back. So I was happy to at least get into the game and play it. But even if I had a good grasp of the rules, RTS stuff is, as I've said many times, is not an area I delve into that much. So you take what I say about it with a grain of salt. But that said, I liked the depth to a certain degree, and I like the pace.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is another game that's kind of slow.
Yeah.
And the pace of it is nice. I like the scenery. I like the fact that I like the area you have to work with. They do a good job of like replicating in what my mind's eye would perceive that this would look like and be like. It's some kind of pastoral setting. I like that stuff. I like the animation of the little guys. Mm-hmm. They looked cool. It's again. I like. Trust me, when the first time that one of my guys got defeated and the buildings went up in flames, I was like, ah!
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked and alarmed. So they did a good job with that. I mean, there's a lot going on here, but I don't feel like a week, for me anyway, was enough to where I could get my head wrapped around it in its entirety.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the 2-player of this is outstanding, which I didn't get to try that either. But that's where a lot of the fun of this game lies, is adding a second player. And you can sort of see where that would happen.
Right.
This game's definitely made for a 2-player element. So I can see where it'd be a lot more fun with 2 people. And this might be one we have to try when we do some 2-player episodes down the line.
Yeah.
After a little more playtime. This is one, I think I could get this. I was getting there. I was getting to where I had an idea of what the hell I was doing. But it's going to take some more play to get there.
Yeah, Pixels, who's in the chat room right now, he makes an apt comparison. I found this to be very similar to Civilization when we played Civ on this, where the first Civilization game was much more difficult for me to grasp than jumping into something like Civilization 4, where so many of the hints and tips and things were directly on screen. Yeah.
Well, the difference, I actually grew up playing Civ 1, so that I had a little bit better understanding because I haven't played it before. But I think this is more complex than Civ.
Yeah, do you think this got an NTSC release?
Well, it got a DOS release, but I don't know. it would surprise me. Let's just put it that way. And I will say, let me see my eBay. No, I'll take that back. I did find discs in the U.S. that were available, so we're going to assume that those were NTSC discs. They don't normally sell the PAL discs over here,
Right.
so I guess it did get one. Again, the DOS version, that name is so bad. I don't know what they were thinking, and I've never heard of that. So I'm guessing the DOS version was a nothing happening version. So I guess the popularity of it overseas, because I've heard of the Settler series before this. So I'm guessing when they released the other versions here, they kept the name and they did better than the first one, because I've never
Right.
heard of that one.
Right.
That
Maybe it was
god-awful
that
thing.
killer subtitle that really drove the sales.
This thing reviewed pretty well, Boat, as you can imagine. I mean, it's pretty beloved, to be honest with you. Amiga Computing gave it a 93. Amiga Down Under, I like that, 95. Amiga Format, 94. Amiga Magazine, 9 out of 10. Amiga Power, 88. There's always an outlier, right? AUI gave it a 97. I mean, these are great scores. CU Amiga 90. I don't think this is one of the few games we've ever looked at that had scores of that level. And the people in Lemon, again, they're a tough bunch. 8.64 out of 10. So that's a pretty well regarded game.
Yeah.
I think this was probably. We've come across a couple of these games that were sort of games of their time. I think this is probably one of them where it's tough to go back now with the interface such as it is, and years of being catered to, like you said, to go back and play one of these games like this, that where you had, I mean, if you're going to play the old Ultimas, like Ultima 2 or 3, it's the same thing. There's so
Absolutely.
much more manual, and you're writing stuff down and doing all this crazy stuff that I guess we just got lazy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. So, but I mean, I know this game still has its followers, that's for sure. I looked this up on eBay. And again, you can get a disc. You can get the discs for $7 in the U.S. In Australia, you can get the box for $50, and in UK, they're got them all day long, anywhere between $7 and $13 boxed. So, man, I would love to go over to the UK and just load up on games and bring them all home. You get a huge library over there.
Absolutely.
You know? I mean, over here, can you? When's the last time you saw a boxed Amiga game in the store anywhere?
I've never seen a boxed Amiga game anywhere.
I got that Sim City at the store that closed up here in Milton. That's the only time I think I've seen any Amiga games for. I mean, it's been decades. It sucks.
Yep,
We're getting screwed, bud.
Yeah.
So anyway, good game, I think. I mean, it seemed like the bones were there for a good game, but I just didn't have enough prowess at this. I know you did a lot better, but overall, one that it certainly needs further delving.
Right. Well, we want to thank Amigos Game Selection Committee member Pixels at Dawn for choosing this game for us this week. Thank you, Pixels. If you would like to choose a game for the Amigos to play, all you have to do is head on over to patreon.com/Amigos podcast and sign up for that Amigos Game Selection Committee member tier. I'd like to thank all of our Patreon supporters for helping us out here, and I'd like to do it in a very special way. Most weeks we do a competition where I will sing the Patreon names in a style reminiscent of someone else. And if you recognize the song, all you have to do is send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. Yeah, that's right. That's the right. And I will announce your name as the winner. Last week we didn't have a competition because we pre-taped.
You won the competition last week by guessing every single name based on the Patreon's first name. That was incredible.
Well,
I couldn't believe that.
And so this week, here we go. Dan Rossleaf, Killand, Alan Kebab, Donald Tyler, Levelord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocher, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sargon Martinson, Edvin Helen, Blindo75, Christopher Hussal, Ravi Abbott, Chris, Full Stream Catcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Bebke, Brent Dowdy, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Anthony Jarvis, Tips from the Crypt, Josh Nanwa Williams, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy, Humberstead, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warnes, Pixels at Dawn, and Kyo Bjorn Bauman.
I actually know that one.
Good.
I had to wait for the drum solo, but then I got it.
All right, and I'd like to remind everybody that we will be recording this coming Friday at 5:30 Eastern time.
Traffic dependent.
Yeah, we record ARG, our sister show, ARG Presents Amigos and Insert Disc 2 most Fridays. And so make sure you check that little bell box next to the subscription button on YouTube to be notified of whenever we're live. You can join the fine folks in the chat room like Duncan Styles, Pixels at Dawn, Daniel Cordell, and everybody else, Necronom, Andy Davis, who's listening. And thank you all so much in the chat room for joining us, Brutal Barracuda. It's always a party in the chat room with us, and you get to see all the stuff in between the shows, which is sometimes more entertaining than the shows
Which should never be
themselves.
released to the public. Hey, well, before you sum it up here, also I'd like to mention that we've got a hard push on. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we are nearing the 1,000 subscribers mark, and we would love, just as a personal happy moment, to get there. We've got a lot of good and talented people that are putting up some video, and that I don't mean us. I mean some of the your Dreamcatchers, your Douglas Styles, your Bro Barracudas, the Huck. All the people that have put up videos for us. Will has put out some, and we've got a lot of contributors. And hey, if you're interested in contributing something to the channel, man, drop us a line. We're always looking.
That's right.
To add. I mean, it's a community YouTube Amiga free for all in there, and we would appreciate it if you would give it a look, and if you dig it, drop us a subscribe, and it'd be great.
Absolutely. Aaron, next week it's mystery game.
Mystery game. You know what that means? We don't know what it is.
That's right. That's right. So you'll find out the same time we do this time.
Yeah.
This time next week. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Adios.